May the power protect you.
An iconic phrase from Zordon, who was the leader of the Power Rangers, and that's what we typically know about him. But who is he really? Zordon belongs to a planet called Elter, which we will talk about in another video. He is also defined as a mystical galactic sage and warrior of good who fights against evil. Part of his achievements was to create the Power Rangers, and 10,000 years ago a villain named Rita tried to conquer many worlds throughout the universe. Zordon, upon learning of this, objected and started a war against Rita. This war lasted about 2,000 years across different planets where many warriors perished, some at the hands of Rita's servants, such as Night Nasty, who fought against the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. After so many years of fighting, Rita began to serve Lord Zedd, and he sent her to Earth, so she built her palace on the moon to start her war from there. In that same period, Zordon discovered 5 coins of power, but those 5 coins were not the only ones. There was one more, and that was obtained by Rita Repulsa. Each coin had the power of some prehistoric animal and gave power to anyone who used them. The coins Zordon found were Tyrannosaurus, to invoke red power, Mastodon, to invoke black power, saber-toothed tiger, to invoke yellow power, Pterodactyl, to invoke pink power, and Triceratops, to invoke blue power. The coin that Rita found is very powerful. It belongs to the dragon and can invoke the green power. After so many years of war, Zordon starts to get closer to victory and Rita starts to give up, so she tells Zordon that she is going to agree to peace. Because of this, Zordon lets his guard down and Rita banishes him to a place where Zordon exists outside of ordinary time. An energy tube that he can't get out of and only allows him to talk, but at the same time he can't age either. Still, Zordon is so powerful that he found a way to imprison Rita in a space junk container and destined her to be locked away for eternity. In Earth year 1993, the space junk container Rita was in was accidentally opened by astronauts, and she returned to her base on the moon to continue her war against Zordon. This time Zordon was prepared. He had already built his base on Earth and befriended Alpha, who would help him create the Power Rangers. In addition to this, Zordon had positioned weapons throughout the solar system to continue defending the Earth from any enemy attack, in addition to all the contacts he had throughout space that warned him of any threat. In order to confront Rita, Zordon and Alpha chose 5 teenagers to give them the power of the 5 coins they had found some time ago. These teens were Jason, who was given the Tyrannosaurus coin to invoke the red power, Zack, who received the Mastodon coin to invoke the black power, Trini, who received the saber-toothed tiger coin to invoke the yellow power, Kimberly, who was given the pterodactyl coin to invoke the pink power, and finally Billy, who got the Triceratops coin to invoke the blue power. These 5 teenagers were the first Power Rangers we saw on TV, although in the history of this fantasy universe we already know that Dino Fury's Rangers existed first. In the comics there is also another story about 5 Rangers that Zordon had chosen before these teens, and it all ended very badly. You can look for that video on the channel. After Zordon chose these 5 teens to be the Power Rangers, Rita also used her power coin and chose Tommy Oliver to get the dragon coin with the green-colored powers. The Rangers managed to break Rita's spell that caused Tommy to be evil, and this Green Ranger was part of the team for a while until his powers ran out. After this, Zordon was able to create the power of the White Ranger, a power that comes from all that is good, and chose Tommy to give him this power and named him the new leader of the team. Zordon was the mentor of the Power Rangers in the 3 seasons of Mighty Morphin, also in Zeo and in some episodes of Turbo, since there he went to star with Alpha 5. He then appeared a few times in the In Space series until the end of that season when he was destroyed by Andrus in order to save the universe. Zordon knew that if Andrus destroyed the tube, this was going to create an expansive slingshot that was going to reach everywhere in the universe, and this was going to destroy all the villains, as well as transform some. This was the last time we saw Zordon alive, but his legacy is so great that he has been mentioned by many Power Rangers teams, and in the special episode we start to know more about him again. After many years, the Mighty Morphin team is still together, and Billy built a new command center. In addition to this, they also have Alpha 8, which we assume must have been built by Billy or Alpha 7. Billy and Alpha 8 were working hard to try and bring Zordon back, since despite not being physically on Earth, his energy is still wandering around somewhere. Basically, this was the same thing that happened with Rita and Lord Zedd when they were purified with Zordon's energy. All that evil energy was left wandering around in existence, and this is what Billy attracted with the experiment. Unfortunately, Billy was unable to bring Zordon back. However, Rita's evil energy managed to enter through the tube and then exited to get inside Alpha 8's body. After the events of the special episode, all the things we saw in Cosmic Fury happened, and one of these things was the appearance of Zordon again. Many people didn't understand this part well, so we are going to try to explain it as best as we can, since there are many new fans who may not know Zordon very well. When Zyto died at the end of Dino Fury, we could see that after 6 months the Morphin Master brought him back, and at that time no one knew what really happened. Zyto really knew what was happening, but he didn't want to tell his friends so as not to worry them, because he knew that his death had been difficult for them. The Morphin Masters had brought him back with magic only to fulfill a purpose, and he was basically like a battery charged with that magic, since every time he used that energy, he had less time left alive. When Zyto used all the energy, his spirit began to return to the grid, but Ian was so desperate that his spirit attached itself to Zyto's spirit, and he also came to the grid. Ian woke up in a place with lots of light, and in front of him was Zyto's body, but it had blue eyes. After Ian hugged him, this being told him that he did not know him, and Ian was very confused as it was the same body of Zyto. This being was Zordon, who was somewhere unknown since Andrus destroyed the tube, and now he had Zyto's appearance, but somehow the grid connected him to Ian. Zordon told Ian that he was seeing his friend because that was what his mind wanted to see, but he was not Zyto, and Ian asked him if he can tell him if Zyto's energy is somewhere in the grid. Zordon manages to find Zyto's energy in the grid, but tells Ian that Zyto's time on Earth is up and that cannot change. The strangest thing about this encounter is that Zordon apparently didn't have much memory of the Rangers and Lord Zedd, even though he said those names were familiar to him. Zordon never said his name, but we knew it was him because he told Ian that there was something he used to say in times like these.
May the power protect you.
Lord Zedd, one of the most powerful Power Rangers villains of all time. The history of this villain goes back thousands of years when he was Zofran, the ancient guardian of Elter and the mentor of Zardus and Zordon. He proclaimed himself Emperor of Evil and enslaved Golder and Rita for his purposes of conquest in the universe. At that time, Lord Zedd tried to take the Zeo crystal to use them in his evil plans, but the crystal had a protection against the forces of evil, and this caused all his skin to burn. This is why Lord Zedd has no skin, and his body shows the inside of his body, such as the fiber of his muscles and his exposed brain. He also wears a crown embedded in his body with a long tip that has a Z at the end. He carries a staff with the Z at the tip, which helps him channel all his power. His face is covered by a red visor and a kind of metallic mask in his mouth. After so many years of conquering worlds, Lord Zedd comes across Earth. He didn't think it was important enough to be worth his attention, so he sends Rita and Golder to conquer it. After so many failures by Rita, Lord Zedd arrives on Earth and punishes Rita by shrinking her and locking her in a space junk capsule and throws her into the depths of space. Lord Zedd began to fight the Power Rangers and managed to destroy the Zords, but Zordon and the Power Rangers managed to transform the remains into the Thunder Zords. These Zords were more powerful than the previous Zords, so they were able to start a good fight against Lord Zedd. In a desperate attempt, Lord Zedd tries to make Kimberly the Pink Power Ranger his wife, and to convert her he sent Golder to brainwash her. Kimberly started to fall for Golder's words, but in the end, it was just a deception Kimberly did to give the Power Rangers more time to rescue her, and since then Lord Zedd feels more hatred for the Pink Power Ranger. One day, Lord Zedd tried to create a group of evil Rangers, but Tommy the Green Ranger stopped him to save those humans that Zedd was controlling. Then, as revenge, Lord Zedd vowed to destroy the Green Ranger, and in this he succeeded. Then he wanted to cast a spell on him and make him his heir to the throne, but Zordon got there first and turned Tommy into the White Ranger. Due to the strong battles that Lord Zedd had with the Power Rangers, he had to dig up a powerful war machine called Serpentera, which could easily crush the Rangers' Zords, but had the disadvantage that it consumed a lot of their power and the machine could only battle for short periods of time. Given this, Lord Zedd had to take his centennial recharge moment, and it is at this moment that Rita manages to escape from the capsule and returns to the moon, where she puts a love potion in Lord Zedd's sleep machine. As soon as Zedd wakes up, he quickly falls in love with Rita. However, the potion did not work as Rita had hoped, because Lord Zedd would not allow himself to be manipulated. Now with Lord Zedd and Rita fighting together against the Power Rangers, the fights became more difficult for the Rangers. They even managed to create an evil Tommy and even sent the Rangers to the past. Then, Rita's father arrived to the moon, and between the three of them they managed to defeat the Power Rangers, destroying their command center in a failed attempt to obtain the Zeo Crystal, although this victory would not last long, because then came the Empire of the Machines. After several battles against the Machine Empire and some more against the Power Rangers, Lord Zedd and Rita gave up and disappeared for a while. Then in the final battle, where Dark Spectre has a great meeting of evil, Lord Zedd and Rita appear to help in the battle and are sent to defeat the Gold Ranger. At the moment they catch him, Zordon's sacrifice happens and both are transformed to human beings, and they still kept their love. A love that led them to have a son named Trax, who was born before these events and was upset that his parents were lost in kindness. After many years in the saga of Dino Fury, Lord Zedd is resurrected. Although the last time he was seen was in his human form, it is said that they revived his evil side before the wedding with Rita, an eviler and darker Lord Zedd with a more destructive power. In these new battles against the Power Rangers, he almost managed to defeat them, but failed, so he teleported away, swearing that someday he will return. After several attempts to destroy the Dino Fury Rangers, Lord Zedd was locked in a glass container by the Morphin Masters, and we all thought that this was going to be the end of this powerful villain. Unfortunately, Lord Zedd escaped, and a great epic battle began in which the Morphin Masters had to fight together with the Dino Fury Rangers. Because Zyto had passed away, the Morphin Masters had to revive him for a limited time so that he could help them in the battle. This was the end of the Dino Fury season, and it was also the beginning of the Cosmic Fury season, in which we would later see Lord Zedd in one of his best moments as a villain. Lord Zedd had made an alliance with another villain who owned a giant company, and with their large machines they could extract energy from planets to be able to create large armies. Lord Zedd wanted to take advantage of all that power to trap the Morphin Master and use all the energy for him to have a transformation. One of Lord Zedd's allies had created a machine that could trap anyone, so he used this technology to enclose the Morphin Masters in a tube and later be able to use all that combined energy. In order to destroy the Dino Fury Rangers, what he did was to transform the Blue Ranger back into a villain, since Lord Zedd had previously bewitched him, and this had worked very well in his evil plans. Lord Zedd took it upon himself to destroy the statues that connected the Rangers to the power and also almost destroyed the command center. Throughout this season of Cosmic Fury, Lord Zedd remained the leader, and we didn't see him fight as many times as he did in Dino Fury. He even managed to build a new castle on the planet Elter and also managed to lock up almost all the Power Rangers on Earth. This time Lord Zedd was conquering everything, and then he built a throne that managed to channel the power of the Morphin Masters. In this way Lord Zedd transformed into Master Zedd, and he was so powerful that he wanted Dark Spectre to have seen him. He was so powerful that he destroyed the new Cosmic Fury Zords as if they were toys, and the Rangers were no longer a match for him. We could see that Master Zedd's body was now different, and we could tell that he was very powerful physically. Despite all this power, the other villain he had made an alliance with had been deceiving him all this time and had been setting him up from the beginning. She wanted Lord Zedd to use the power of the Morphin Masters and then trapped him with the same machine that he had trapped the Morphin Masters before. After the Rangers defeated this villainess, Zaido, now turned into a Morphin Master, took the Rangers inside the crystal tube in which Master Zedd was locked to try to convince him to release the Morphin Master's power. After this, Zaido teleported Lord Zedd to a planet where people's fears torment them, and there, we could see that Lord Zedd's worst nightmare was having to be Rita's servant. When we started this channel, we talked about the history of the most famous villain of Power Rangers, and I am obviously referring to Rita Repulsa. She has a very complex history, since we have part of her life in the TV series that we have seen since the beginning of the franchise, but now with her reappearance in the special episode, her story is longer. We also have a bit of her story in the comics, but we are not going to talk about everything that appears in the comics since those are different stories. In this video, we want to try to talk about the most basic backstory of Rita Repulsa so you can understand a little bit about this character, and if you are one of those who never saw Mighty Morphin, then here you can get to know who this witch is. Let's start by giving a brief description of her: an evil sorceress, daughter of a feared conqueror of worlds named Master Vil. This villain is part of the Dark Spectre organization, basically an evil emperor who only wanted his daughter to be a vessel for his boss. Rita's mother is Lady Fienna, who was a very powerful sorceress who was Zordon's ally and fell in love with Rita's father before he was corrupted by Dark Spectre. They were both studying the Morphin Grid and had been able to see the future of their unborn daughter at the time. Lady Fienna saw Rita become the mystical mother, but her husband only saw Rita become a witch and himself become Master Vil. That is how Dark Spectre corrupted him and now became Master Vil for the purpose of separating Rita to be the vessel. Rita's mother realized this, so she ran away when she was pregnant, and Master Vil had been looking for her for a long time. Finally, when Rita was 6 years old, her father found her and sent his warriors to bring his daughter back. The Phantom Ranger helped Rita and her mother escape until they reached a place filled with Morphin Grid energy. The purpose of traveling to this place was to heal the Phantom Ranger's wounds, but Rita's mother had the idea to fill her daughter with grid energy so that she could no longer be Dark Spectre's vessel. In the process, the machine exploded, and Rita's mother died. When Master Vil arrived to look for Rita, he realized that she was already full of grid energy and was useless to Dark Spectre. Despite this, he decided to take Rita to try to turn her into the witch he had seen before she was born. Rita grew up learning to be an evil witch and made herself a scepter to channel all her evil power. This was because she wanted to be more dangerous and be able to do what her father did, conquer worlds. She met Lord Zedd and began to work for him, conquering the galaxy while gaining fame for her destruction of worlds. Rita was such a powerful villain that she began to create an army to aid her in her conquests until she met Zordon of Elter. She started a war against Zordon that would last more than 2,000 years, in which they had legendary battles where both lost part of their armies. In between all that war, Lord Zedd sends Rita to conquer the Earth, and she establishes her evil headquarters on the moon, and Zordon established his on Earth to fight against Rita. In that period, Zordon finds 5 coins of power and Rita found an additional coin. The 6th coin, which would give life to the Green Ranger who would help her in the battle to destroy the Power Rangers that Zordon would create with those 5 coins. Before the Green Ranger and Zordon created the Power Rangers, Rita and Zordon were still at war. Rita started to lose the battle, so she decides to form a plan and tells Zordon that she wants to make a peace pact, but her real plan was to get Zordon to let his guard down and trap him in a time warp. Despite this, Zordon was prepared and locked her in a space junk capsule, which he then sent to wander in space for eternity. After 10,000 years, some astronauts came across the capsule and removed the seal by mistake, setting the evil villain free. She quickly went to the moon to her headquarters, which was abandoned. She managed to gather several of her servants who would help her again to conquer the Earth, and that is when she sent Golder to destroy the Earth. Then she was surprised to find that Zordon had created the Power Rangers, who defeated Golder and all the monsters that Rita sent. After so many defeats, Rita remembered that she still had the 6th power coin, and with it she created the Green Ranger, an evil ranger destined to destroy the Power Rangers. After many battles, Jason, the Red Ranger, managed to break Rita's spell on the Green Ranger and then made him part of the team. In the comics, in the Green Ranger saga, we could see that after this Tommy had a connection with Rita, until he was able to destroy that connection. After this, Lord Zedd was so disgusted with Rita's inability to conquer Earth that he locked her back in another garbage capsule and started the war against Zordon himself. In less than a year, Rita managed to escape and return to the moon with the help of Finster, who restored her to her normal size. He also helped her create a love potion to conquer Lord Zedd and convince him to marry her so they could both fight against Zordon. At first it was a sham, and she only did it to overthrow Lord Zedd, but in time she would abandon this idea and truly love him. After many defeats, Rita's father arrived on the moon to help her defeat the Power Rangers. At that moment, Rita and Lord Zedd took the opportunity to bomb Zordon's command center and steal the Zeo crystal. Rita sent her brother Rito Revolto along with Golder on this mission. They managed to plant the bomb, but lost the Zeo crystal. Zordon, Alpha, and the Power Rangers managed to survive in a fortified power chamber beneath the Earth and eventually found the Zeo crystals in the rubble. Sometime later, Rita and Lord Zedd were overthrown by the Machine Empire and decided never to face the Power Rangers again. Despite this, Rita and Lord Zedd teamed up with Dark Spectre to deal a final blow to the forces of good throughout the galaxy. With this, Rita regained confidence that the Power Rangers could be defeated, so between her and Lord Zedd they worked together to catch the Gold Ranger. At that moment, the Dark Spectre army was winning the battle throughout the universe, and this is why Zordon sacrificed himself so that his energy would finish with all the villains. This same energy purified Rita and Lord Zedd, who somehow became human, but their energy was left wandering through space. After several years as a human, Rita regained her powers, but this time she used them for good and was called the Mystical Mother, appearing in Power Rangers Mystical Force. However, her evil energy was still wandering through space, and when Billy tried to bring Zordon back, Rita's energy entered through the broken glass of the tube. This energy took over Alpha 8's body and she managed to transform into Robo Rita, the same villain we had known, but now she had a robotic body. Finally, the Power Rangers managed to destroy her, but we do not know if this energy was destroyed and returned to wander through space.